Welcome back to the Watchtower Film Podcast, the film review podcast on the Towercast Network by Cinephiles for Cinephiles.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
It's a wow episode.
We should call Damien to do his own Wilson
he actually
impression.
perfected that.
He's actually done it, right?
Wow.
Ka-chow.
Shout out Damien.
Shout out Damien. I'll tell him I owe him a phone call. We're back. We're here to talk about Wes Anderson. Once again, we're back for Wes Anderson month.
Thank God it's almost over.
Thank God it's almost over. This man just hates it any month. First it was Fincher, now it's Wes.
Just wait till next month. We get
He's an
into a real
instigator,
auteur
bro.
next month. So.
Who
We're
is
doing
next
Nolan
one?
next month.
Oh,
A real director.
We're
bro.
2 episodes away from Christopher Nolan month.
We get 3 months in a row of real auteurs.
More like Astopher Nolan,
We get
you know?
Nolan.
We get Nolan,
Scorsese, and P.T.
then
Anderson.
our Lord and Savior.
I thought we were
P.T. Anderson.
bleeping that. Wasn't that the whole thing?
Oh,
last
yeah.
time?
It'll get
Yes. We
It'll
could,
get bleeped.
yeah, we'll just.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to know what
We're
talking
back.
about.
We got 2 more. 2 more to go for Wes Anderson, and I mean that. I mean that with a lot of enthusiasm. I think it's been very interesting to kind of dive deep and go back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And go like from old to new, because we start out with his first films and then we
It's
just
good
saw the
stuff.
Phoenician Scheme, which is his newest. And it's been good. It's been a good resurgence of Wes Anderson. Like even I saw the GQ thing where he's like talking about every film for like an hour, and it's his new perspectives on them. And then he just did like a letterbox special thing. So like it's nice to see Wes Anderson in the media again, which we don't get too often.
No, and I also feel like it's a nice retrospective on like a director's work, because that's what we're doing with the podcast on like each auteur. So like it's really cool that like for this month we're not only seeing our perspectives but also his on everything.
for sure.
And I was my bad.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, and I was asking you. He didn't say like which one was his best film. Like
No. I mean, I think he was kind of shocked that somebody told him in the interview. I don't know if he was joking or not, but he was like, "I'm Wes Anderson, and apparently I've done 12 films." Like even he was at a point where he's like, "Oh shit!" Like I've been doing that many films.
Wow.
How many films does Tarantino have total? Is it
9,
like
8,
right
8
now?
or 9.
I think he what is it like? He did one film, but it was written by somebody else, so it doesn't count. Or
So like Kill Bill
which
counts as one, and
No.
then
oh,
it's
that's
2.
No, but
No,
that's how
he
that's how
counts it
he
as
counts
one.
it, because
He counts
he's like
Kill
trying
Bill.
to say like, oh yeah,
But I
like,
don't agree with. Do you guys agree with it? It was
It's-
I
like
do.
1 year
I
after
do.
the other.
It's
It's not like
because
it was all released. Like
he was gonna do the writer or something like that.
no, I just heard that
the
it was
film critic.
He was going to do the film critic, and that was going to be his 10th film, because he believes that like after 10, it just goes downhill and you're just recycling. So he's being very particular about like the next film he releases. So because of that, like he's like they're like, oh, but you already did 10 films.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, no, Kill Bill's 1.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on creatives that have like
Limitations.
They tend to like limit themselves to like, for example, like that 10 films, and then maybe afterwards he's going to go into like painting or fucking making music.
I think it's a little bit of self-sabotage.
I
but-
don't believe him.
I
I
don't
think
either.
it's just for promotion or for
Oh, like you think he's gonna come back?
Yeah.
He's
Who
too
doesn't
much.
wanna see his last film?
He's too much of a cinephile. That's the,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the
Ooh,
weird part about Tarantino. He's too much of a cinephile, but he's also stubborn as fuck. And to
Yes.
make a point, like to say, like, no, I said, I think he'll stick to his guns.
Yeah, he'll probably take like a
No, but
year
you,
or two off.
you said he might come back
Probably
under
more.
a different name.
This shit's a drug. dude.
Maybe like a pseudonym. But
Or no, direct TV, right?
what?
Like direct an episodic thing. So it's
Oh,
not
no,
a
yeah,
film.
episodic
Like
would
I feel it's. I do agree. It's the whole shooting yourself in the foot, because I mean, like with our heroes, there's this constant conversation of like, I haven't hit my peak.
Yeah.
I'm still like, I'm exploring something.
Yeah.
That's why like when we watch these films, I really like saying, oh, this is their exploration of this or their exploration of that. You know?
Do you guys? I personally can't think of a filmmaker, whether he's a hero or not, who got stale in his old age. I mean, like
I think,
maybe
dude,
Clint Eastwood, maybe Clint
Woody
Eastwood.
Allen.
But
But
I kind of
I feel
respect
like-
him because
No,
he's still
Woody
doing
Allen
it.
still hasn't gotten
I
stale,
feel like
man.
one of the
BFG.
biggest things about big fucking guy.
That wasn't his last film though. Like Spielberg is still very fertile. Like he's still doing good shit.
Yeah.
The Fablemans came out after the BFG. Like,
Yes.
But
I feel
again,
like Spielberg's still doing it.
Film is very much like, I apologize for cutting you off.
No, please.
But I feel like film is very, very much like acting, where like the older you get, the better you're going to get at it, because
agree.
you've experienced more of a life. You
No,
know?
but kind of what Carlos is saying. Do you get stale? Like, do you get like not complacent, but you don't take the next step. 'Cause
That's
you've already taken
Tarantino's
way too
argument. That's Tarantino's argument is that you get stale. And I don't know if that's just like a knock to Scorsese because people are talking shit about The Irishman or him doing, like, for instance, his newest film that he announced is a mob film set in Hawaii with Dwayne Johnson, right? And the more I think about that, the more I think like that's going to be weird.
It's based off like a true story.
It is.
I just Dwayne Johnson with Marty.
Yeah.
You
that's
didn't
scary.
It's kind of cool.
You didn't see the trailer of
The A24
of the
picture.
Rock's new film?
Yeah,
Dude.
he looks different with the
He looks fucking
prosthetics.
good.
No,
The
I'll give him
Safdie
that. It's
brothers?
just I haven't seen anything that the Rock, will tell me. Oh,
that like
he's
shows off
Scorsese.
any
Yeah.
kind of acting ability. But I also think that that's the key of a good director is being able to know how to like pull out the best out of a character
Dude,
from
yes.
a person, you know?
I mean, look at Cameron Diaz. What he brought out of her in Gangs of New York.
True.
Yeah.
I
Daniel
mean, Cameron
Day
Diaz
Lewis.
but
But I guess we're saying like a quote unquote mass appeal, maybe even bad actor to pull out a great performance.
Because I think, and I'm not saying he's a bad actor, but I think somebody like if Scorsese was to work with like Adam Sandler, right?
Right.
Somebody who he's done a lot of films that make people feel like, oh, he doesn't really have something there to say, but he could probably pull out a completely different character.
Look at John C. Reilly, man. John C. Reilly was in 2 Scorsese films. And he did extremely well in both of them. And I didn't see John C. Reilly. I saw the characters.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So it could be anybody. Not that John C. Reilly's a bad actor. I mean, he comes from the world of Paul Thomas Anderson.
Fucking PTA, yeah.
But I mean, he did that, 10, 15 year stint in comedy.
I'm always just skeptical with like athletes being turned into actors.
That's-
He's
that's-
I don't know.
oh,
He's
no,
got
no,
a
you're
lot
right,
of film
you're right.
background, but he's he was a wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't like that whole transition because sometimes it doesn't work. He's
In all
got
fairness,
power
though,
now.
in all fairness, he followed his dad's footsteps, right?
Yeah,
he
that's
went
cool.
into WWE.
I still remember
he
when
went
he was
into
watching.
performance, not athletics.
True.
He stopped being an athlete when he stopped playing college ball.
Oh, that is
like
true.
he
No,
went
yeah.
into
Yeah.
performance.
Wrestling is a little bit more performance because
Yeah.
it's not really real. My
Right.
bad for anybody that loves.
No,
hey,
but
whoa, wrestling is real.
It is my bad.
Hey, hey.
My bad.
You're
No,
about
but
to piss off a whole lot of
But
people.
it's more of a show. It's more of a show.
Sorry, Quispy.
What, you're gonna tell me
Wow.
that Santa's not real too?
I mean, he might. No, I was gonna say but you bring up a good point, and I think that's where like Tarantino's getting his argument from. Like with athletes, you do have a lifespan. There's like so much energy you can use out of like a good athlete, and then once they hit their later years, they're kind of like not washed up, but like their performance isn't going to be at their peak anymore.
No, yeah, but that's unfortunately that's not their choice. Like that's a physical thing.
That's
right.
no, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like in Tarantino's argument, he's looking at filmmakers like athletes.
Yeah.
That basically under certain years, you're going to be at your peak and you're going to hit your milestones. And after that, everything's just going to taper off. But I mean,
I still
that's like saying that the mind itself degrades.
and it can. It can. But I'm just wondering again if you guys can point it out,
Self-sabotage,
please. Is there a filmmaker whether good or bad, that in their old age got worse as filmmakers?
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay's not even making movies anymore, is he?
He made
think executive
that
producing.
ambulance one.
He directed
Jake
that.
Gyllenhaal.
I think he
Jake
did.
Gyllenhaal.
I don't know. I got to fact check that.
But even
yeah,
then,
he did.
like my point is like I think his point was like Kurosawa, but Kurosawa was still making fucking great films.
And also, Kurosawa
Talk about
wasn't
name
supported by like the studios. I mean, it had to be like people in cinema to like justify the making of like Dreams, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's not even like his own fault. That's like
that's a resources thing, not a stale in storytelling ability thing. So like that's what throws me off about Tarantino's argument. I mean, I can't think of an American or
Clint Eastwood was the closest because
I agree.
they have something to say is movies, but sometimes they just kind of like Gran Torino. They're just kind of.
I like Gran Torino.
Gran Torino's not bad. I watched The Mule with my mom.
I
and
heard The Mule was pretty good.
She straight up was like
How's
when the
a
movie finished.
98-year-old fucking crossing
Dude,
drugs?
When she was
Have sex with
finished,
women?
she straight up was like verbatim. That movie had nothing. That shit was cheeks.
Which one?
The Mule.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I know that Eric Sanchez really liked it. I haven't seen the Juror number 2 one. I've heard pretty
seen
decent
that one
things
either.
about it too.
This last one, right?
But they also canned it.
They can't.
Like they didn't give it a wide release. Warner Brothers was like, nah, we'll stick this one in the vault.
By the way, Screen Rant came out with a list of directors who got worse over time.
Oh, nice. Who
When did this come out?
Yeah, when is
You don't want to know two of the names on there, Castro.
Guy
M.
Ritchie?
Night.
And,
I can-
Guy Ritchie are on the list.
Damn.
Who, Guy
Is
Ritchie,
Fincher
who?
on there? Because
Fincher?
Mank was fucking cheap.
Yo,
Wow.
settle down.
Why is everybody
Thank you,
being
bro. I needed
so...
you in a
Michael
couple
Mann.
episodes, bro.
Michael Mann's also on the list.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fair.
shit.
Michael Mann's cheeks, bro.
Vince
I-
McMahon's cheeks?
yeah,
And Tim Burton.
yeah, that's kind of fair too.
What was his last
have
one?
you-
Yeah.
Wednesday was the last thing that he did, I think.
I
And
didn't even
honestly,
see
that
it.
Kind of in the
popped
same
off.
realm, but that's what we're kind of saying. Like,
Oh, and they're
stay-
releasing a second season, right?
Yeah.
They just announced a second
Oh,
season.
it was a TV show. That's true.
Oh, apparently there was an announcement for Beetlejuice 3.
Yeah, Beetlejuice.
Yeah, which like, but you know what's crazy?
Whoa.
What's crazy is
I
that
really want Michael fucking Keaton to pop up. Like, what's going on?
no,
Get on the fucking pod.
but like I don't know if it was a publicity thing, but he did come out after the sequel and saying, "I will never make a third Beetlejuice." Everybody's like,
Oh, no.
but come on,
Like, the gag
works,
is
yeah,
there.
for there." And he's like, "No, I'm not doing it." And I don't know if he just did that just so people would like get off the scent a little bit, and then it's like,
I think the opposite, just to keep them in the hook a little bit.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
mean,
Yeah.
they just announced the Spaceballs 2 as well.
I
They
did see
did
that.
with
Was that
fucking
real?
Mel Brooks
no,
at 98.
and
That's fucking
what is it
insane.
called?
Yeah, the kid for Honey, I Shrunk
Rick
the Kids.
Moranis is coming
Rick
out of retirement.
Moranis, which just for that.
Yeah, that's
That's crazy.
awesome.
But
Dude,
how is
fucking
that
so
going to
dope.
work? They're older. Like,
Oh, no, and
we've
John
seen this
Candy.
a lot of times. And
Oh,
This is a
John
hot take.
Candy, that's right.
you need those guys.
This is a hot take, but
It better be hot.
Fucking-
Or else I'm going to kick your ass.
Better be fucking
what's that?
scorching.
What's the Mel Brooks movie? Fucking Blazing Saddles holds up. It's
Fuck
fucking
yeah.
hilarious.
I love
Oh,
it.
I thought
It's
you was going to
great.
go no. I was like, what?
Did you go?
Not yet.
That's
when you
not a
screen-
hot take.
When you screened the Phoenician
What?
scheme.
Hot
Kick
take
his
would have been,
ass.
hot take would have been you saying no,
Somebody
it's
beat
not.
this man.
When you screened the
Boo
Phoenician
this,
scheme,
man.
did you screen it at the Grove or at the
Marijuana.
Chinese theater?
Dude, I screened it at fucking Alamo downtown.
Oh no,
gonna
baby!
lie. 'Cause
Why?
I had a lot of shit. That was my only off day. So I even got like an early ice screen, like an 11,
You're
1.
20 minutes away from Hollywood at downtown.
I was 10 minutes away
pretty
from
disappointing.
downtown.
Oh, even more disappointing.
Where you could have gone to the Chinese
You know
theater.
what?
It's
I
'cause-
want you to drive back to LA.
Yeah, delete
Yeah.
my phone number,
Right
bro.
now.
No, that's
Especially
when I
after
think
that
of Blazing
lukewarm
Saddles, I
take.
think of the fucking Chinese theater at the final
Dude,
sequence.
yeah.
Cold take at best right now.
We're not friends on
Lukewarm.
Instagram anymore.
Dude, no,
You know-
get that take out of
Unfollowed,
here.
You know what isn't cold is the
Coldplay.
Indian heat.
Oh,
The Indian heat. And
Dots?
that's
That
where
is true.
that's
yo,
What?
yo.
definitely.
They got little.
We're here to talk about
What are they? What is that?
that. It takes a lot of different meanings, but one of the traditional meanings I know about it is
that?
for women who are married.
Then why'd the guys get it?
That's what I'm saying. It takes a lot of different meanings.
Yeah.
Oh, it's for when they're married.
Chat
With
GPT
women.
Signifies
didn't
good
even know what
fortune,
said it.
marital status, and spiritual devotion.
There you go.
There you go. Now
Wait, can
Michael
you say that one
DeLao
more
is
time?
no longer ignorant.
Good fortune, marital status, and spiritual divine.
I thought it was like
Devotion.
a way to
Hey,
get your
Michael,
third
I
eye
have
to
a
your
question
soul.
for you.
Yeah.
Do
What
you
does it
believe
mean?
in marriage?
Do I believe in marriage?
Answer
Yeah.
carefully.
Well, I want to take this as a moment to propose.
Whoa.
I don't
introduce-
believe anymore.
I got to
Actually,
introduce
help
my
them find
fellow
the ring.
co-host, Mr. Michael DeLao, offering a cinematography perspective.
Oh man, I'm gonna have the coldest take.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
Mr. Jean-Eric Castro offering an acting perspective. Yeah. The Hercules. Mr. Austin Young. Make sure we're sounding good on the ones and twos back there.
I actually have 4 and not 2.
Wow.
Okay, well,
You have 4
Yeah, it's 4 audio channels.
He's doing his best
That's a good
right
point.
now.
on the 3s and 4s.
And back.
on the 3s and 4s. And back from La La Land, our fellow producer, Mr. Eric C.K. Nunez.
Yes.
You guys can't see it, but we're gonna make out so hard about
Oh,
it.
Yeah,
good.
you have
We
no
can
idea.
see it. Be cutting to you.
You're not in a booth, dude.
Yeah, man.
We're in the same room.
Cut to
I don't know if you knew that.
There's
There's no glass right here.
Who touched my ass?
We're here. And I'm your
No,
humble
did you
film
just touch my
servant,
ass?
Carlos M. La Torre, offering a writing directing perspective. We're here to talk about
Wow.
Wes Anderson's
Wow.
2007, The Darjeeling
Astro-
Limited.
Chugga.
Darjeeling Limited.
Hey, Ma.
This is only my second screening of the Darjeeling Limited.
This is my
Yeah.
first.
And I personally feel a lot better about this film.
This is my
A
like
lot better.
110th screening of the
Is it-
Darjeeling.
Is it your favorite then? You haven't talked about that.
Before
before.
Asteroid City, this was my number one.
He was literally singing the song.
You're
when
number
they're in
one for
church.
West changes every other fucking
No, no,
week
no, no,
because
no.
it was Fantastic Mr. Fox.
When you first met me. Then when I
Uh-huh.
started going into his
Oh, yeah,
filmography.
that is
no,
true.
when I went into his filmography and I was watching everything.
Yeah.
Before, even after Budapest, even after French Dispatch, this was always my favorite. Like, I'm already going to spoil the rating, but for me, this is a 10.
Okay.
There's nothing I would change about this. This is a super rich hour-and-a-half film.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then after Asteroid City came out, like, this one got bumped to 2, but I mean, no, this one, it holds up in every way for me.
I think he's lying.
Quick, rapid fire. I'll go next if you'd like.
Yeah, we'll go that way.
I'm up there. I'm willing to bet that Darjeeling this screening, and again, I'm super biased. I'm a big Satyajit Ray fan and Indian cinema fan, and I see the influence so much more now. And besides that, though, it's building. Yeah, it's building on something that existed in a really special way. I'm at a 9.5 on this one. I really like Darjeeling this time around.
Do you think that like relationships with your own siblings is what helps you connect with this film a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first time around.
Did it just seem too flashy the first time around? Like, it didn't seem like it had anything to say?
No. I think it had plenty to say. I think just like, for instance, I think what bugged me the first time around is there was, it's a very good magic trick, actually. And that's what I'm starting to realize now. For instance, the river scene, right? With the kid scene, when the kid passes away. Super heavy scene, but upon...
Huge arc.
Before the big moment happens... Adrian Brody's character flips, and what bugged me about it the first time is like Wes Anderson was heightening these like very mundane moments.
Yeah,
like, oh, the thing flipped, but he's fine. Like they're in, you know what I mean? Like they're not in any danger until you see the cliff. So there's moments like that are like set up like action moments, and I was like, all that happened was the raft flipped. Like what's good? That kind of stuff really threw me out in the first screening.
Yeah,
I never felt like it didn't have anything to say. I just felt like it was building certain moments up, and it felt like it was cheapening the style because it almost felt like, oh, Wes Anderson's just trying to keep attention through action moments. Because this is a train film and it's in motion, and traditionally trains in cinema are meant to drive a story forward, but almost in an action sense. You see a James Bond film, or you see a Rush Hour, you see like when there's trains, it's more to heighten the action of it.
Yeah.
So I felt like that's what I was seeing the first screening, and it kind of cheapened it for me. And I was like, man, it took me out of the story a lot. This time around, I'm seeing it like a good magic trick because it's flipping the thing to be like, oh, he's a grown ass man. He's probably okay. And then,
also, I don't know if you noticed,
the bunny out of the hat is on this side of the frame. It's not where the thing flips.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the magic.
I think on top of that also, a very deliberate choice is that the entire time we're seeing that water's moving, and I'm pretty sure if you go on and you'll see that they move the camera around a lot. But I always felt that, especially leading up to the flip, we're always seeing the water running from right to left. When it flips, the water's running the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. But it's to heighten the fact that it's coming at you, and it just like
and it's meant to disorient you.
It disorients you.
It's also that whole thing of like when people say they're on planes or trains, and Owen Wilson, actually a character of his, says this in another film. Oddly enough, when they say that like in other countries and foreign countries that aren't the U.S., the water spins the opposite way in toilets.
Yeah.
It's kind of meant to be that, or that you're driving on the wrong side of the road. It's also that it's meant to disorient you in a way that like, hey, you're really not in your safe country. Like this is a different environment entirely. Really? I think so. I think it's meant to, like, it's like reading Chinese books. Like you're reading right to left and shit like that. Like I think there is something to say when it comes to that. Quick ratings, and then we'll kind of continue going. But
I think it was just one of those funny accidents that kind of like, it worked. Like, we can't. I know he's very detailed about his shots. I know, but
especially when you're shooting in a river,
fucking Anderson.
But especially when you're shooting in a river.
For real?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there has to be so much controlled chaos in those situations.
There's so much, like, on a producer standpoint, there's so much that you have to take care of, such as like camera equipment, the extras.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, out of all the people, Wes would definitely catch that. But I just think.
That's why even in the end of the film, I noticed that they didn't even use IATSE in this one. So they probably shot this mainly independent, which was kind of like fascinating to me because all the characters and everything, like just having control in an independent circuit, like of the train in that way is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the set, which we'll get into some of those like cool details later. But what's your rating, Custom?
My quick rating for this one, I give it like an 8.6.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm starting to understand Wes Anderson, and I don't know if I like him or dislike him at this point. This was definitely better than the last one we saw. I just think it has a lot to it, right?
Yeah.
I just can't get past the deadpan delivery. That's
Really?
Me as an actor, I can see why people love it. Like,
can you give me a specific moment, like in this one that bugged you?
Well, obviously Adrian Brody and this guy, I know that's what they're known for. So that's why I really like Owen Wilson's character, because he's a little bit more than just deadpan.
He looks. I'm sorry, but Schwartzman looks like fucking George Harrison.
He does.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, can you pull up the clip from Walk Hard? Really quick, the clip from Walk Hard. Just Walk Hard to the Beatles.
Okay,
the one where he's just...
Yeah.
My favorite line is like the little one, and it's Jason Schwartzman. That's why I kept saying it in this fucking film.
Oh, that makes sense.
from Walk Hard. I was like trying to remember where it was from.
Yeah, it's from Walk Hard. So you feel like, as an example, this is, if I'm not mistaken, the first time Brody ever worked with Wes Anderson, right?
Second.
Well, you
First
got to pull
time.
up the clip, though. Like the clip, because there's a line.
So stupid.
Jack Black. Who does he play?
Look at all
He
these.
plays Ringo Starr. Jason Schwartzman plays Ringo Starr.
And Paul
Yeah.
Rudd. I don't know who he's playing.
It's
Lennon?
Jack Black,
Paul
Rudd,
my bad.
Jason Schwartzman, and Justin Long.
I got to work with Justin Long.
Did you really?
He's a cool
he
guy.
seems like an awesome guy.
Dude, long story short, I was a Pathfinder driver on a set, and I needed to shuttle him from base camp to set.
Nice.
And in the car ride, I was straight up like,
Pull up
dude,
the clip,
you look like
please.
Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He was like, I
Back in
saw
the
him
day.
at a party one time, and then I told everyone says that I could play you in a movie, and Anthony Kiedis was just like, oh.
But that guy's in another world right now.
That's
That's why.
Yeah, Anthony Kiedis is gone, dude.
Yeah, he's gone. Right
So just maybe Schwartzman and Brody.
I mean, yeah, even the mom.
I think it's the fact that you feel like for the tension, you want to see them pop out, because I mean, like
every character feels like they're about to cry, but they're just holding on to that.
Oh my god,
I can't hear anything.
Oh, I didn't turn it up yet.
Ah.
I feel like Jason Schwartzman looks.
I just like to have fun.
Wait, go back.
I like the little one.
Now it makes
Wait,
sense.
go back a little bit more
Now
where
it
it shows the four of them, because they all say like,
I think George Harrison of the Beatles. I don't know, I'm just trying to get some more songs on the album, And as Ringo Starr, I'm not so interested in meditation. I just like to have fun. I like the little one.
so
You definitely have to clip that.
Hey, just stupid face.
We are from Liverpool.
We are
Damn,
from Liverpool.
Jack Black was
Remember that, Paul?
Of course I do. I booked him. I'm the leader of the Beatles.
But I have to say, I like your stuff. It's pretty good, and most of your records I really enjoy.
Oh,
We're
even I
big
forget what's
fans
this
of
guy's
your
name.
records too. We like to think that Hard Day's Night is our guilty as charged.
Great record.
Excellent album. We learned a lot from
Great
it.
record.
Well, we're real big fans of y'all.
Huge fans. You guys are almost as good as the Monkees. You guys are great.
I think I might adjourn to another dimension, take some LSD. You care to join me?
Yeah, let's do that.
Care to join us? Some LSD, do we? It's good for you.
Built by
Never
scientists.
once paid for drugs.
Lysergic. Gotta check with headquarters.
Monday, Cox. Think you might enjoy it. Open up your mind to new experience, a new level of consciousness like we do, because we are the Beatles.
Why don't you just let him decide? If he wants to take LSD, he'll take it. He doesn't have to listen to you. You're not the boss of him.
Don't tell me what to say and what not to say, Paul McCartney.
I'm sick of you
Paul
being so
McCartney.
dark when I'm so impish and whimsical. I'm sick of it.
Hey, everyone. I've got a brand new mantra, Paul's a big fat cunt.
I don't know why you don't let me write more songs. I just sit here on my guitar quietly.
I love this line.
Well, you are the quiet one, so why don't you shut the fuck up?
An octopus. Jam it up your ass. You're lucky
I'm
we
gonna use
selected
that.
any drums.
Seems like there's a rift happening between the Beatles.
I wonder if your songs will still be shit when I'm 64.
Great song.
No! Stop it! You stop it!
Beatles, please stop fighting
Is this like a short or?
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
Oh yeah, yes, we do. Yeah.
Right in the
Because what
Somebody
they were
put in
fighting
the
to do.
comments, yeah. Somebody put in the comments like that's the highest quality of success in this film is the line, "Beatles, stop fighting in India." It's the best. I fucking love that film. Jason Schwartzman.
What were we talking about?
Anyway, speaking of Indian cinema,
Yeah. Speaking of Indian cinema, so you're at an
Darjeeling
8.4. No,
8.6.
8.6.
And CK.
damn, I didn't even think about it. All right, I'll give it like an 8.3.
Okay.
Was this your first time screening it?
There we go.
Yeah,
Somebody that
Was
makes
this your
sense.
first time screening it?
I mean, I seen it like in the background when it barely came out, but I never seen it like the whole way through.
He was one of those that watched it at Pep Boys while waiting for his car to get work done.
It was literally on TV.
Which Pep Boys
AutoZone, actually.
do you think is screening Wes Anderson?
Oh, the one on George Jeter.
Yeah.
Actually went over my head like, what the fuck?
The same one that screens
It was
Schindler's
they had
List.
the FX channel on and they just threw it on.
Because they do have the movies.
They do have the movies.
That movie.
What's your rating, sir? Oh no.
I don't care,
just
Austin.
watched
I don't
Sinners,
care.
what?
Your opinion's wrong. Your face is wrong. Now say whatever number you want to say.
Why are you so mean today?
Because you insulted the film.
But
I
is that
didn't insult anything.
Yes, you did. You're like, not much to talk about. You're being mean.
You gave Mike a little boo boo on his heart.
I don't think he understands what rage baiting is.
Yeah, me neither. I'm really enjoying that you're doing it.
I want you to cut to his camera and just.
He's in the corner.
Yeah. So,
I feel baited.
I feel baited.
now do you feel rage?
Rage baited. Anyway, what's your
Are you freshly masturbated and freshly caffeinated?
He's one of those.
freshly vaccinated and masturbated, sir, ready for duty?
Yeah.
This is a
So-
kids show, guys.
No, it's not.
I've been promoting
Darjeeling
it,
Limited,
I
I feel, is like. This is when Wes found Wes.
Elaborate on that.
Like, I feel like everything after Darjeeling is where you really see, like, his full, like... I feel like Darjeeling's the first time you see him come to, like, his full self. Which is a good thing, because I feel like... I was even looking at his past films, and before this was Steve Zissou.
So Darjeeling, it was Darjeeling what? Darjeeling, then Moonrise, right?
Darjeeling, fantastic. Then Moonrise.
Then Moonrise, then Budapest.
Then Budapest. So I feel like this is where he finally, like...
He found his
As
voice.
Scott likes to say, just come all over the camera.
all over the mirror.
Or all over the mirror.
But how do you mean that? Like, do you mean like that's just
the way the storytelling, the way that he does it.
Yeah, like
okay. Like he found his voice.
Yeah, he found his voice with this one.
Okay.
Now, is it wrong that I liked his newer films or his older films because they're a little bit more loosely dialogue edited?
It's not wrong. I think half of the audience genuinely agrees with you. Like we've been talking to a lot of people who are massive Wes Anderson fans, but they saw the films growing up. Like they saw the films as they came out.
For sure, like, certain like production design, all that definitely got better, but I don't know. Talking out my butt.
You know what? That's a great thing to bring up, and I was gonna try to touch on it when we were saying that Wes is more in the news right now.
Well, we can touch on it after I give my rating.
Okay.
Oh, you did it. My bad.
He got his ass. Damn.
He took you left his rapid fire.
Dela, I want you to make eye contact with me.
But listen to Eric.
Did you teach a lion how to eat tofu?
But listen to Eric and touch Carlos.
We taught a lion how to eat tofu.
8.9.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Sounded like you're gonna go way lower.
You made him
Nah,
happy.
I like to mess with them.
I know.
Somebody give him a little noogie.
Wah.
Nobody moves.
Yeah, 8.9.
8.9. Okay.
The first time we saw it, again, I think because I hadn't seen so much Wes Anderson going into this one, I was like, oh, this is weird. But now actually, like, seeing it again, it was pretty good.
I think it's do you think Wes Anderson is similar to, like, we talk about musicals, where once you know what to expect, maybe style-wise, and you're able to kind of get past that, you can focus on the storytelling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he also has his mainstreams like Budapest and
Budapest is a fucking banger.
Dude, like my dad watched Budapest and he actually enjoyed it when we did it at the cafe.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. I've been thinking a lot about Anderson and where he kind of sits in the pantheon. And I mentioned it a little bit last time. I just don't. I think Wes Anderson is a true cinephile's filmmaker. Not even necessarily a filmmaker's filmmaker, but a true cinephile's filmmaker. And his stories are not. They're just not for the mainstream. I think if there's any stories that are for the mainstream, it's not even Budapest as much as it is like Rushmore or Bottle Rocket.
Even Tenenbaums.
Even Tenenbaums.
I put that in there.
But I don't think his other films are for the mainstream. I think they're far too complex, and I think that you'll get thrown into like a weird loop of like, what the fuck is this if you don't know how to analyze cinema?
And I talked to a dude who like adamantly hates Wes Anderson. And
is it Castro?
No, it was like a buddy from high school, but I talked to him and he's like, I don't like it, but I'm not gonna give any knock to him in case he listens. Hi Farfan. But he says, you just have to work too hard with the movie. And he says, and a lot of times when I go to the movies and I just want to watch something, which again, a big part of film is entertainment, and like it was always an art form designed to sell tickets. It's one of the only art forms that was designed with money in mind. And for that he just says, I don't like going into the theater, seeing these complicated shots, this weird dialogue.
No, that's
but I feel like that's a very like American kind of mindset. Like an art form sold for tickets, because it came out of like French areas and like Europe and shit like that.
when like the motion picture started being developed, they were trying to think, well, what do we do with this type of technology, like the recreation of motion through pictures,
right?
And that's when they did like Nickelodeons. At first, they thought maybe for scientific reasons, but then it was expensive to do that film process. And later on, to make money off of it, they did theaters. And the whole idea behind theaters was that it was a poor man's way to maybe experience something that was pre-recorded when you couldn't afford to go to the actual theaters and watch like a play or a concert.
Like because it was also during the Great Depression, right?
Yeah, it was something that my professor. Professor Beam from UTEP,
Jason,
at the time. He mentioned for film theory that it's one of the only art forms that when it was designed, it was only meant for monetary purposes. For painting and music and everything else, there's this kind of like altruistic expression behind it all. But for film,
you might actually be right, because I think when what are the brothers? What's the name of the brothers?
Lumiere brothers.
The Lumiere brothers. I think they went on tour in circuses to show the first pieces of footage.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot.
I'm a little annoyed with what Carlos said.
With what?
With Wes Anderson being only for cinephiles that are really into it. I don't think that's true. I think I've said this in the last podcast. I think he's for a specific audience. Mm-hmm. And the best way I could describe this is like, we all had that friend in school that was kind of weird, but he was interesting. But then you start
what if that's
then you start talking to him and you realize, oh, this guy's
But that's the thing.
Not that he's smarter.
Right.
I mean, he probably is, but he's just another universe.
You are right. You are right. But what if that's
not
specific?
about cinephiles.
Well, no. But what if that specific audience is cinephiles? Because let's use that example of the friend, right? Of the high school friend.
The weird friend.
Let's use that example that this friend, you're like, guys, kind of weird. And
but I'm fascinated.
You start talking to him more, and then he says, "Hey, come to chess club with me." And then you start seeing what his world is about, and then you start getting involved in his world, and then you start understanding him more.
That's why I'm fascinated.
But that's my point. Is in this scenario, the chess club is cinephiles, and cinema is chess.
But you're telling me like every cinephile likes Wes?
I feel like
I think every cinephile respects Wes at the very least.
The same way that they respect Spike Lee. Like if you watch a Spike Lee movie, like She's Gotta Have It or Do the Right Thing, you see the way that he shoots it. He shoots it all like very the rules. You know, put the camera low to make them bigger, put the camera high to make them weaker.
Knows, yeah.
He does it, but the cinematography that he sets up,
experimental though.
Yeah, exactly. The cinematography, the way that he tells,
he uses hip hop framing. He uses hip hop music video framing.
That's why
he uses hip hop. He as in pop influence the same exact way that Wes uses symmetry. So it's like he's playing within the world of filmmaking of cinephiles, but he's doing it his way, using his own expression. That's what I can really, really appreciate about Wes. Is that
I appreciate. That's what we're That's what we were talking about on the last film. It's like I appreciate that that's not a train. As a filmmaker, I could appreciate everything that's going on to make it feel like a real train. Mm-hmm. But to me, I know it's not a real train.
Like, take it this way. Let's look at the benchmark of like Hallmark films, right? I'm not saying that Hallmark films are bad films, but I think they use easiest, most essential kind of like cinematography, film related techniques to tell a story that's extremely palatable for the masses. You know, something that's not hard to understand, keep track of. You can feel happy and sad for the characters.
I feel that underlying tone that you're giving me.
No. But
it's not a naughty thing. It's not a naughty thing. It's not exclusivity. Let's make that very clear. I think that's the miscommunication here. It's not exclusivity or like this is only for us. I think that people
we don't get it or whatever.
It's about palette because when I'm mentioning Hallmark films, I'm saying it's very palatable. Like even if you don't like romance or anything like that, you can sit and watch a Hallmark film, know what's going on, you can appreciate it. But I think when you love movies, I'm not even gonna say cinephile, but when you love movies and you love the way they're done and you love all the techniques and everything like that, then you're getting into something that's a little bit more I'll say rich, that they're using more techniques, that it's not just surface level anymore. You actually have to kind of like work a little bit to see what you appreciate about it.
It's like food. Like if you like burgers, it's perfectly valid if you go to McDonald's. It's perfectly cool. But you should also
That's actually a good one.
Exactly. But you should also try get a burger at like a high-end restaurant too.
Hey, because there is a difference between tasting a McDonald's burger and a burger from Crave.
We've always described it even the same way with whiskey, where you can get like a basic whiskey, do a whiskey sour, and you'll enjoy it. But then if you love whiskey, you'll say like, oh, I'll just have it neat because I want to understand the minute subtleties and complexities. And
that's why I say there's no exclusivity to it because anybody can watch cinema.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And cinema's open for anybody to watch it. But will you appreciate it the same way as somebody who goes to the movies once a year? No,
so I think this is where our miscommunication. There's a fine line between I respect his work and to liking his work. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of cinephiles probably respect it because they know about the filmmaking that he does. But I bet you there's some cinephiles that are like, it's just the...
absolutely.
Of course, there's going to be a preference thing, but I think the argument here, is
no, you're good.
I think the argument here is people. It's not for the masses.
Yeah, exactly.
Cinema's for the masses. Cinema's for the masses for anybody to enjoy. But this specific thing, Wes Anderson, I don't think will play at a multiplex for 6 weeks because people can properly like
I agree with you
enjoy of Wes Anderson.
Take it in and
by people I mean anybody.
Like, I remember when Isle of Dogs came out, and I was walking at the mall. Isle of Dogs. Yeah. And I was like, oh, man, like, I want to go check that out. And because I'd already seen it, but I was like, oh, we should see it again. And I heard some people in the background that they were like, oh, God, who wants to watch that movie? Like, it was directed towards Isle of Dogs. And it's just... That's the thing. A lot of people who go and see them, not that they don't love movies and not that they don't have a favorite movie or they don't go. It's just like, to them, they're like, why would I want to watch Isle of Dogs? And it's this overly quirky, needlessly circuitous, complex film when I could watch Jurassic Park.
I need a dictionary for that. Yeah.
Circuitous is like a long way to get to the same place.
You're right about your friend who says like, oh, I don't want to think too hard when I'm at the movie.
Yeah.
And that's really what it boils down to is that even for us who have a developed palate in cinema, we still need to watch a Wes film at least a couple times to really, really analyze it. I mean, we just went through that.
That's where
a lot of people don't want to go through that, yes.
And that's where the respect thing comes in because we respect his style of filmmaking enough that 100%. When we look at it, we know that it deserves more than one viewing. Like when we watched Asteroid City the first time, it was like, I got to come back because there's too many layers. There's too much there. And that's where I feel like this one really shines is the fact that when you look at the metaphors that he's playing with and the dialogue just, it kills me how good it is.
It is good on this one.
Like every time I've watched it, my favorite line or favorite scene at the end, especially seeing everything they've gone through, is when Owen Wilson, the character that's trying to be the big brother that takes care of everybody, he looks in the mirror and he's like, well, I guess I got some more healing to do. And on the surface level, sure, it's a physical thing. And on an emotional level, it's so much more than that because you can see that all of them have so much more healing to do.
I caught that a lot more this go round when they're at the airport in the final sequence, and they're each taking a turn to make a phone call.
Yeah.
And we do this. I mean, the blocking is pretty genius too, but we do this pan like, who's he talking to? Oh, and again, it's that metaphor of like, oh, he's dealing with whatever he's been dealing with the whole film.
Yeah.
Now it's a bit of a closure situation.
And I love that later on, or shortly after, we get that whole thing with the train station where you see the train going by and the camera's just dolling past all these different cars in the train. And then that's what the big tie for the metaphor is that we might all be on the same train. Like we're all traveling in the same direction, but everybody's on their own journey. Everybody has their own path that they need to go through. Like everybody has their own struggle. And then that's why I also like the businessman. That character that comes out for a little bit and it's Bill Murray, but he just comes out for a little bit being this guy that's what is it called? Trying to catch his train, but it's asking the question like, how much are you trying to like carry your baggage and trying to still move
even
forward?
That metaphor of carrying their dad's
what's
baggage.
holding you down,
Carrying their dad's baggage. At the end, they're like, I don't think dad's bags are going to make it. And it's a liberating thing for all of them to just say, fuck it, we're leaving this behind.
Leaving it behind.
By the way, while we're on Bill Murray and Natalie Portman are in this for all of 5 minutes together, combined.
And Bill, fun fact of the day.
Yeah, one of them for sure is Bill Murray and Natalie Portman. Bill Murray basically shot for a day, and then stayed in India after that for a month, just to explore India.
Wow.
Natalie Portman shot at least this sequence. For this film, she shot for 30 minutes.
Yeah,
and then stayed in India for 9 days after just to explore the country.
Wow.
They just all came to
awesome.
Explore India.
No, and when I remember hearing interviews with Wes and specifically Jason Schwartzman, he talked about that's where Wes kind of found the mentality he likes to run with his sets, where everybody would stay together. They'd all sleep in the same place. Like they would all, it was a very big family affair. Like the entire crew wasn't just like, the actors and directors and then the crew would be over here. Like it was very much like the whole crew, everybody, we would eat together. We would stay at the same place together. We'd wake up together. So at the very end, it was like a family. So
and they're a little, that gets doubled exponentially because in this case the set is an actual physical moving train.
Yeah.
If you miss the train, you miss the set. You just fucked everybody, and that includes cast and crew. So you have to be even more on top of it, and you're constantly on a train for 12 hours shooting in an Indian desert.
And it was the coolest fucking part about being on sets, like especially the indie scene, man.
Yeah.
I remember my brother and I used to work in Florida, and a lot of the times super low budget. Dumb low budget, like basically no budget features. And a lot of the times what they would do would be that they would get an Airbnb, and then that's the film house. They would call it the film house. Everybody, PAs, grips, above the line, below the line, actors, fucking, it don't matter. Everybody is staying in there. And they would also use that as a location to shoot.
Yeah.
It makes such a nice camaraderie. That's the beauty of indie.
It does. And that's what Wes tries to recreate for sure. And I think this is how powerful cinema is too. Like, they didn't have to key in or zone in so much on the environment that they're shooting on. The environment kind of almost creates itself, but Wes had never even been to India when he wrote this film. He didn't take a vacation one summer and say, "Oh, this place is beautiful. I'm going to write a film in it."
Everything was just based around
his love for Indian cinema.
Yeah,
that's how
which is heavily influenced.
So cool.
Yeah, heavily influenced. So much so that so there's a film, and I love this, and I'm gonna feel good about this one, Castro. This film specifically was inspired by three filmmakers. It was John Renard, who made a film called The River.
Jean Reno.
John Renard is a British filmmaker. British French. He's very, very highly renowned.
Was he in the French New Wave like that whole time with
He was in the French New Wave, right? Yes. The short answer is yes, but he was also kind of making British films.
Oh, okay.
So he was kind of had his feet in both, but he was doing that. He made a film called The River, which is arguably his most famous film. And Wes Anderson saw that film via Martin Scorsese. Scorsese has listed The River as one of his top 10 favorite films of all time.
Quick, what is it about? My bad.
It's literally about a communal river.
But what did Marty like about it?
I think it was the thing about Marty's favorite films list. If you go back to see them,
this is what I went.
70% of them are just like high merit. He saw them, in some capacity or another at a film festival, and the other 30% are literally just his childhood films that he saw on the foreign film channel because he couldn't leave the house.
Right.
He had asthma.
Cool. Yeah.
So John Renard's The River was one of them. Satyajit Ray's films were some of them. So like Scorsese's favorite films list just is made up of that, of films that he saw on TV in New York when he was a child. And John Renard's The River, it's about a village in India where they're located right next to the river, and the river is a representation of washing away cleansing people's lives and cleansing people's sins and religion, and that it's meant to nurture, it's meant to feed, it's meant to wash, and that's what the river is about. So Scorsese hosts these like screenings for filmmakers that he likes. Damn. And he screens Rushmore, and he writes a letter to Wes Anderson and says, "Hey, I screened Rushmore. I loved it. I also loved Bottle Rocket. Stay in touch, kid, And in one of those things, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to screen The River. You should watch it." Wes Anderson was like, his cinema world was opened by The River.
Okay, that's
and he started developing this film. So when he started developing Darjeeling Limited, he also found the cinema of Satyajit Ray via Scorsese.
Fuck yeah.
And that also opened his world. So, like, if you guys, I actually saw it in the GQ interview when he talks about the French Dispatch, which we'll talk about next week. He talks about his heaviest influence of the French Dispatch was a Satyajit Ray anthology film. That was his heaviest influence, was a Satyajit Ray anthology film. And then he's like, I want to make my own anthology film. And that's why French Dispatch was born.
Wow.
French Dispatch was developed when they were making Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Really?
Yeah, that's how far back it goes. And his love for the New Yorker magazine.
I think that's why he comes out with these projects what feels like really fast. Yeah. Because I remember... Like we had just gotten like Asteroid City, and then from that one it was like announced like he's gonna do some shorts, and then
because he's been developing them forever.
Yeah,
this was Darjeeling Limited was the first time he worked with Roman Coppola as his co-writer, and he has since then been his consistent co-writer and his producer and his second unit director. But it all was born from this love of Indian cinema, and he fell in love so much with Satyajit Ray cinema that not only did he dedicate the Darjeeling Limited to them, but he used Satyajit Ray's music, because Satyajit Ray was also a composer for all of his films.
One of the big things about this film.
And the score is Satyajit Ray playing.
And a lot of the score, when you look into it, it's Satyajit Ray film scores. So it'll reference
from Pather Panchali.
Yeah, so they're referenced all over the place, but it really is just as big.
Isn't that the dream? Like the one you admire now is just seeing.
It's just amazing. And there's so much influence in the camera work, in the set design. There's a fucking picture of Satyajit Ray in the train cart.
You have to
in the
look
Bengal,
really closely to
There's literally right there.
Yeah, the Bengal Lancer train at the end.
Oh, can you tell Austin what to pull up so I can see the image of the tiger?
I couldn't find it.
Please? What was that
I couldn't
about?
find the so there's a dude, and that book, thank God, Chuck, thank you for that book.
Shout out Chuck.
Chuck gave me a book, I think for my birthday or something. And it says, looking beyond the graphics of Satyajit Ray. What a lot of people don't remember or understand is that Satyajit Ray was a graphic designer for a newspaper.
That's how he kind of
That's how he started. That was his career. And then, get this is so great. He started as a graphic designer for newspapers, and think of like a marketing agency.
Yeah.
Making posters, making graphics for the news or for whatever.
Yeah.
And then, lo and behold, John Renard comes and shoots The River in West Bengal, where Satyajit Ray lives.
Fuck yeah.
So he's like, this is cool. Satyajit Ray becomes a PA on John Renard's The River, and that's what kicked off Satyajit Ray being a filmmaker.
Wow.
Was The River, the same film that inspired the Darjeeling Limited.
Yeah,
that's fucking cool.
Yes. So this art book, Chuck gave me this art book for my birthday, and I'm pretty sure he got it from Literarity. So shout out Bill too. And I see this book and I have it in my office, and I kind of just leave it there. And I'm looking for it right now to try to show you guys pictures. This book is going for like $600 on eBay. Damn. And fucking you can't find it cheaper than like $200.
Wow.
Shit.
So and it's bound. It's bound by string. And I was reading the cover pages. It's bound by like a red string. I don't know if you can look it up, Austin. It's called Looking Beyond, the graphics of Satyajit Ray.
And
that you open it and it says bound and printed in India. Nice. So this isn't a mass produced book. So, but you go through it and you see not only Satyajit's early drawings and shit, but you see his posters, his movie posters that he designed himself. This fucker composed his own films, designed his own posters, sometimes was his own DP, funded his own films with Pather Panchali. He got a grant through Indian cinema. Not only that, but set up the infrastructure for Indian cinema so much so that I'm willing to bet Satyajit Ray was the second domino for India to have a massive hub of production. Oh, sure. Wes Anderson, if you guys noticed in the credits, used mostly Indian crew.
Yeah.
That was
awesome.
all doing of Satyajit Ray, man. He was that domino of setting up an infrastructure for Indian cinema.
And that small opportunity.
Yeah, this is the book, by the way.
Wow.
I'll bring it next time. I'll bring it next time to close out the West month. But I have it in my office. I'll bring it. But it's such a cool book. You feel it. You feel it's such a good. Anyways,
I feel like a bunch of filmmakers barely starting off got pumped up with that speech.
Dude, we haven't talked about this since we talked about the Apu trilogy, but the cinema of Satyajit Ray is so if you look at his filmography, he must have done 200 films. It's so deep and diverse. I've only seen 6 Satyajit Ray films, and 3 of them are the Apu trilogy, man. And they're so they're so heavy. I saw Devi in the music room, and they're talking about so much, but they're so in their simplicity. He created techniques that I know Wes Anderson used in Darjeeling Limited, and it's just such a beautiful thing. And
yeah.
Wes Anderson didn't shy away from that. Some filmmakers will say, "Oh yeah, I was influenced by Indian cinema and French cinema and this." But no, he said, "This is for Sayaji. This is for him. He fucking did this for me.
This is for my boy."
Yeah. And what's immediately after this? Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah,
that's the senior one.
And again, I feel like that was the I want to make a film but have ultimate control, and also like he loves Roald Dahl, and that's inspired a lot of like the kind of like images and colors that he's used.
Yeah.
Roald Dahl is the inspiration for all of his shorts that recently came out, huh?
Well, the shorts is based off of another Roald Dahl book called The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar and Other Stories.
Yeah.
I have the book.
Oh shit! You should bring it one day.
I should.
Oddly enough, in that GQ article or the GQ interview, Wes says, we were developing. I asked Roald Dahl's widow.
Son.
No, the widow. I asked her for permission to make Fantastic Mr. Fox way back when we were getting Royal Tenenbaums.
Wow.
Developed. And it took that long, not to get the yes, but to develop the picture.
Yeah.
And he says, the fortunate and unfortunate part about making an animated film, he's like, it cost me $1 million to just make the sketches for what's called I forget what the proper animation thing is called.
Respect on that.
But
like
in Blender,
when it comes to stop motion animation, you'll do storyboards of it first.
Yeah.
With the voices attached, right?
Yeah.
Through the storyboards.
Oh, an animatic?
An animatic. It cost me $1 million to make the animatic for Fantastic Mr. Fox. It cost me 1/3 of that to make it for Isle of Dogs.
That's
wow.
fucking
He says because we learned so
insane.
many lessons and there's other ways to go about it.
Why did they cost that so much?
Because at least back then, like the puppeteering and
For
the
sure,
post puppeteering, he's
nothing
like
close to today.
his argument was that you're making an animatic with the actor, and that's one performance, and then you're restructuring that for the performance of the puppeteer. So
Have
you're
you seen
getting
all the
two
behind the
performance.
Have you seen all the behind the scenes from it?
Of what? Of the
It's because for
Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Fantastic
of
Mr.
the
Fox said-
actors.
that he wanted to get the audio from like the environment, so he would have the actors like doing out the motions and everything like that to get those.
Like you
George
see
Clooney
running
and-
through a field. And
Yeah,
shit.
it's so
and then
cool.
the one
I
where he's
love it.
eating the bread. He's
Yeah.
like,
It's so cool. Meryl
films
Streep.
miss
He
that.
says he's like, I worked with Meryl Streep for 2 hours. He's like, and that's the only 2 hours I've ever worked with her in my career, and that was the most magical 2 hours of my life.
That's
I went to a
Meryl
party
Streep.
across the street from where Meryl Streep lives one time.
Really?
There was Coke. I
LA
didn't do
Stories.
it.
We're gonna call
I
this
didn't do
segment
it.
LA Stories with CK.
like how
Dude,
you
but
said
you know
across
what's
the
what's the craziest thing? He's not bullshitting.
I'm not.
Anytime I go to LA, I'm running into shit like this left
it's
and right.
insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
That's why I fucking love that city.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, I had a more let's call it eventful week in Texas, bro, in Dallas and Austin. So you need to go. You don't need to go to LA anymore.
You need to
No. Anyways, so drawing it back to Darjeeling and just kind of like that influence, it's so crucial. And I also think it's what gave it a lot of heart. I don't know that. It almost seems like the emotional arcs that the brothers go through aren't as impactful until you get to the river scene with the kids.
Yeah, that's when
Yeah.
they kind of have that.
That's where the emotion really starts, and they start to deal with their grief. And I thought that was genius, by the way. I didn't catch it on the first screening as much as I did on this one.
Dude.
The fact that they're riding in the Indian car to the funeral of the kid, and then they cut to the funeral of the dad while they're driving in the back of the limo.
Yes,
Because
dude,
it's trying
the
to-
color contrast on that is fucking insane too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you go from
Absolutely.
literally a white wedding, a white funeral to a black one, and like just it's fucking
It's tainted.
genius, man.
It's a tainted funeral because they're not even thinking about the legacy of their father or what they're thinking about is mom going, the car, the possessions, where are the bags, they're not they're not thinking of the purity. And with this kid, it was just like, I tried to save him. Please tell them I did my best. Like, he's an innocent kid. Like, he didn't deserve any of this, and I feel guilty. And there's a purity to just attending the funeral for the sake of the point of the funeral. With the father, there was so much family drama in it that it diluted the importance of it.
Yeah.
And I think that sequence, to me, this go-round is what allows me to give it such a high rating because I don't see Wes doing that so much. I don't see him putting 2 points of contention next to each other that way because it's hard to do. It's really hard to do as a director. It's really hard to almost linearly say, hey, these two counterpoints are going to find themselves in this film.
Yeah.
I think that's why you see a lot of filmmakers, the technique they'll use is they'll film that entire like flashback sequence,
right?
And then in the edit they'll sprinkle it until it has the point that they meet up at the end. But this was very much like right before we get to the the apex. It's like let's cut to.
The sprinkling is done through the dialogue. The sprinkling is done through like Owen Wilson talking to his assistant. Did you find her? You found her in the Himalayas.
And also the short stories. The short stories being like, I don't like the way you put me yelling, and it's like, oh, it's fictional.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good.
What are you guys' thoughts that like a lot of being like as a creative, a writer, that a lot of it just comes from your actual life, that everything is subconsciously coming from who you are as a human being or like the experiences that you've had?
I think you can have a more genuine exploration of these themes if you've had something to reference from. I mean, you as an actor, you probably know, like when you have to embody certain emotions during a scene, there's a point where you have to stop pretending and you have to be, right?
Yes.
You have to be that character.
So you're saying that an actor that hasn't experienced whatever he's trying to act,
you're gonna tap.
So kind of like
isn't gonna be as impactful, I guess.
Like
if somebody that did go through that.
Yeah, like imagine if you were playing like somebody who's what's up.
That's what a good actor does, whether he's been through that or not.
Exactly.
I think there's a few school of thoughts, but I don't think that's necessarily true, personally, because I don't think
it's
personally
gonna give you a little bit.
Don't think that it's true. When I'm trying to write something, I think that the line "write what you know" is very, very
true,
very limiting.
To a certain
it's
point.
very limiting because then does Guillermo del Toro really have experience with fountains? No, he doesn't. Like I think write what you know comes more from personally. Yeah. I don't use an experience. I use the emotion of the experience.
I guess what I'm getting at is like, for example, on this one, like what you just said with Wes Anderson's never been to India, but he wrote a whole feature about India. But the themes that we can really relate to, such as brotherhood, such as we were even making jokes like this guy has daddy and mommy issues. You know, they're like he understands that point of himself, so he's able to put that into any situation that create like that kind of setting again.
Definitely spills into
for sure. No, I think, and we don't even know, right? We don't know for sure, but. We start seeing the through line, right? We start seeing the family drama through line of Wes Anderson.
It's every film for sure.
The same way we see it through Spielberg or religious aspects in Scorsese or whoever. But there is a through line, but I think that through line exists because there's a tank in every creative. And I don't think that tank is ever empty. And this is why we talked about the whole Tarantino recycling factor and all that jazz. I don't think Tarantino's ever written anything personal until he got to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I just don't think he's tapped into any of his experiences. And to me,
Loki, have you read the book?
Yeah.
You know how like a lot of the experiences in that one that he has are very much like my personal experiences are going to the theater watching these like
cinema speculation. Or
it's the orange one, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's his way of kind of bringing those into it. Like that's almost like his way of like Marty has religion, Tarantino has action films.
Right.
You get me? And that could even like still fit that glove of like personal, I guess.
Well, that's my thing with Tarantino is that because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood feels so personal because of how long he's been in Hollywood and
it's like
and
his
what he's paying
love
homage. Imagine the second act or the third act or whatever you want to go, the second act of Tarantino's career if he just kept going. How much more personal he'd get. How much better his stories would get.
Yeah.
And he's shooting himself in the fucking foot. That's besides the point.
I mean, look at
please comment.
My bad.
I want to. I was going to tie it back in.
Yeah.
Pancake. Darjeeling Limited.
Pancake.
Castro, with these characters, I know you feel like they all kind of fall flat, and I know, or not that they all fall flat, but I know that the style lends itself to a deadpan delivery where you would want to see more emotion. But do any of these characters stand out enough where you feel like you would have liked to have played those roles, or who's?
Well, the more I see Wes Anderson, I'm studying more of the characters, and there's kind of a little bit I like about everyone. I like Adrian Brody, how he's still stuck in the past, and he's gonna be a father, so that's why he's got all the his dad's glasses. He's always wearing them.
Right.
I like those little things, right? Owen Wilson, he's got he just had that motorcycle accident, so
Owen Wilson
from the outside you can see he's all bandaged up, but that's really his emotions, right? He's trying to heal. That's why he's trying to get his two brothers together.
Owen Wilson is the oldest, and typically the oldest gets to decide Or the oldest is the heir, right? So the oldest gets the keys, the glasses, the things. So it's almost like, hey, you don't get to do that. Like, that's almost like my birthright.
Yeah, exactly.
That's his character.
And also,
but no, overall, I like Owen Wilson's character because he's actually like talking about like he sprinkles a little bit of action just to keep it. I think this is why I like this film a little bit more because there's a little bit more
action,
you know, more laughs, I guess. Where the other one is kind of like the deadpan is where you're wishing the laughs are at.
Yeah,
it just didn't hit.
I also like the complexity of these characters. I mean, for most Wes films, I feel like the comedy kind of like...
I want to hear this. Complexity in these characters?
Yes, because I feel like for the most part, like, you'll see that the comedy kind of takes a precedent, and I know that that's a very weird way to look at, like, Wes films, but when you look at this one and see each of the characters and what they're going through, and I mean, if you just take the time to focus on any one of them, like, I mean, I look at like Owen Wilson's, and where they're all again on the same journey, they're going through the hills, right, of dealing with grief and the personal situations that they've had in the past. But then when they get that campfire scene after they've been kicked off of the train, and each of them having this personal dialogue, but you can tell that like the dialogue isn't connecting with anybody else but themselves because really they're still wrapped up in 100%. Themselves, but it's because not that they don't want to be there for their brothers, but they're going through their own internal monologue. Yeah. I love that Owen Wilson, his big dialogue is like, I try my best and I don't know what else to do, because he feels this defeat of like every one of his actions is just him trying his best to be a good brother, take care of his brothers, take care of everything, have everything under control because he's the oldest. You see, what is his name? Jason Schwartzman, that he's just never really had any kind of like person to lean on. He's
the interesting one, right? Because he's looking for that quick emotional...
I feel like he's always been the little brother, like which usually the little brother is the one who's getting coddled the most and taken care of. But he almost got cheated out of that. Where then he's like, "Don't include me," because everybody's always spoken for him, and that's why he's.
That's where I connect. That's where I connect with the most. I think was the Jason Schwartzman character, and his need for intimacy.
Yeah,
his need for, and that's why the Rita character comes into play.
But that's how I kind of say need for intimacy.
Need for intimacy.
The need for intimacy, not just with the Rita character, but he's the one constantly asking, like in the car, or when he finds out that they're actually in search of their mother. He's the one that's asking about the mother. He's the one that's saying, "Is mom making it? Is mom coming? Is mom?" That's a direct link.
Oh yeah,
right? Intimacy with women. Not having your mother's intimacy.
There we go. Yes.
Intimacy with women.
And that's a direct link to those situations. Plus, not to mention, he's dealing with the Rita character because he feels human connection, but he's also dealing with the fact that his ex left him and he has his heart broken. Again, these are common kind of situations. What does it say? Are Wes Anderson's parents separated? Yes. Wes Anderson's parents.
Oh, he definitely, for sure.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeehaw. One of his parents is named Texas.
Nice.
Texas and Anderson.
Texas and
I can't tell if that's the guy or the girl.
I like Austin way better.
They divorced when he was 8 years old. Yeah, I feel you, Wes. Yeah. That's my dog.
Yeah.
But no, look, he is the youngest of three.
That makes sense.
So the Schwartzman character has relatively the most depth.
Wow.
Probably, yeah.
Again, it's the character I connect with the most. I'm the youngest of three. I see a lot of those lack of intimacy kind of points in my own life. And I think that the Jason Schwartzman's character is so interesting, especially after seeing the short film.
Well, yeah.
That explains why he made the whole
Hotel
short film
Cavalier. What is it called?
Chevalier.
So that if you've seen the Darjeeling, you haven't seen the short film, do yourself a favor and watch it. It's on YouTube. It's like 13 minutes.
It is a banger.
The Criterion channel also released it, but it's an interesting exploration because Jack in the short film, if it's either his recollection of the story or the actual character, he's much more composed. He's a much more composed character. He's not needy. He's not cloying. He's
the in control one. Yeah,
he's the in control one. So that leads me to believe the short film is the story, not the character of Jack, right? Yeah. Because he puts on the suit, he plays the music, he's cool, he's suave, he's collected. He's kind of a dick to the girl who hurt him. But in the film, he's not. He's brokenhearted. He's sniffing this girl's perfume, quite literally.
The one that, yeah.
And then writes short stories about her.
You see, If I had that same opportunity with Natalie Portman, I'd probably write short stories about her as well.
That's probably the most explicit Wes Anderson film I've ever seen.
Nah.
That short film?
What about The Artist?
The Artist?
The Artist.
Yeah.
That's not a Wes Anderson
No,
film?
no. The one that we're going to talk about in the French Dispatch.
Oh, you're right. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Yeah. That's true. The Benicio.
It's all butt naked.
The Benicio.
Benicio double cheeked up?
Double cheeked up with this.
No,
he's
he
a
falls in love with
prisoner.
his,
And
Austin's going to get excited over there.
You know who I kind of connected a little bit more? With Owen Wilson. And not that I kind of went through that, but I saw it from a third person, or how do you say it? From a first person or whatever. Because, he started off as a controlling, right? He's ordering for their food, all the brothers. But then eventually he lets go of being controlling.
Yeah.
And
gives them their passports back.
I've definitely been through that. So I kind of relate to that.
Okay.
I'm a younger sibling, but I feel like I'm kind of in that moment
sure
with my
are,
brother
buddy.
right now.
You sure are, buckaroo.
I feel like I'm in that moment with my brother right now, like trying to learn how to let go and just let them
don't
create their
overwhelm
own human
him.
being. Exactly.
It's also the reason I connected with this film, and it was my favorite for a long, long time. And I mean, I think it holds up in every way. Is everybody dealing with like loss and grief, and then also everybody's own way of dealing with like pain or like some kind of trauma. Because the ways that they try to deal with it by like worldly possessions, like just kind of buying things, the way that Jason Schwartzman deals with it by just literally leaving the United States and living in Paris for a while to try to like get away from this all.
Which Wes did.
Yeah. And then Adrian Brody, like he just tries to surround himself with the things that would bring him closer, maybe give him that closure. That's why right before the funeral, he's like, no, I got to go get the car. And then each of them are like, oh, let me grab the suitcase. And it's like they're trying to surround themselves with the things that'll hopefully bring them comfort because the person they want isn't there. And
I think this film is also about they're each of them are heading into a very pivotal point of their lives. Adrian Brody's character is about to have a baby. Owen Wilson's character, went through
survived suicide.
He survived death. He survived suicide. So did Owen Wilson, by the way. In this,
real life.
Really?
In fact, when they promoted this film, when they promoted, that's from Alpha Dogger.
Yeah.
When they promoted this film, Owen Wilson had to pull out of all the promotion because he had just had a suicide attempt.
And if you see the early ones that he did come out in, he's wearing long sleeves.
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
He did.
I forgot what movie it
But
was.
that character, he just survived the suicide attempt.
because at the beginning, he's like, oh, I did a wrong way turn. I slipped. But then when they're talking to the mom, then he's like, oh, I crashed into a hill that I turned into or something like that.
And
where he
and then
phrased it in a way that suggests that he was trying.
Okay, I missed that.
And then Jason Schwartzman's character is going through heartbreak. And I think that Owen Wilson's plea at the beginning is like, hey, if we're not careful, after Dad's funeral, we all kind of took our own turns. If we're not careful, we're going to lose this. And I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose like the brotherhood because we will lose it. We're so close to the point where we'll go to the car together. We'll pick up this together. We'll do that together. And at first glance, even you were like, man, they brush their teeth together. They do everything together. And I think that's something special. You lose that somewhere along the way with your siblings because life happens and shit.
Yeah.
So I think the point of this picture, the point of this exploration of like, I don't want to lose that. Even though we lost our dad and our mom is no longer in the picture. And the mom doesn't want to be in the picture.
Yeah.
The mom very clearly is like, okay, that's not attractive, so stop being a little bitch. Like those are kind of her exact words.
Basically, yeah.
Like, stop being a little bitch, live life, do whatever you want, and like don't kill yourself.
To me, that was what I also liked, and it's something that he explored more in Asteroid City. The idea that like you're gonna go up to somebody and say, hey, I'm here because you need to give me closure,
Right.
And the fact that like, let's say it's
And she's like,
let's say it's the ex, it's your mom, it's like a grave site, like whatever you're doing, going there and saying, give me closure. They all went to India thinking like it has to work. Something has to kick in.
Something magical is gonna
like
happen.
I have to blow the feather the right way or do this ritual, do this obscure action, and then I'm supposed to feel closure. Yeah. And with her, it was the solidifying factor of like, well, I don't have these answers. Yeah. I can't give that to you. Like the person you're describing, that's going to be this magical thing to say, oh yeah, this is what closure is, and then give you the perfect phrase. That doesn't exist. Yeah. So at the very end of it all, their healing has to be done on their own. Yeah. it's not done through
tough love.
No, I think it's not done through these like, I'm just gonna punch you in the face. We're gonna go to this country. We're gonna meet this person. It's done through the fact that enough time's passed and they're further along in their own journey that now they can all start healing.
It's about the journey. I mean, it's a cliche, but it's about the journey, not the destination. That's really what Darjeeling Limited is about. So damn. I can confidently say that that Darjeeling has crept up, in this screening at least, has crept up to probably be like my number 3 Wes.
Okay. I'm going to go up to a 10.1.
Is that possible?
Is that our legal? First 10.1?
Is that legal?
I'd put it in my top 5.
Top 5 Wes's?
Oh, yeah.
Off my first screening, it was like at the bottom. And
Same.
It's gone up for me.
Yeah, for me, it's like Budapest, Asteroid City, Darjeeling Limited right now. That's how I'm feeling right now.
That's a very
Aquatic number 1 for me.
Yeah.
Life Aquatic?
Same. And
he likes the quirkiness.
The Phoenician scheme just like fucking way in the back.
Wow.
For now.
Cable guy's all the way in the back for all of us.
Damn. Well, we're not done with Wes exploration
next week we're going to jump into the final Wes film that we're exploring, which is The French Dispatch. That one's probably my number 4 right now. I really love the French Dispatch, and I'm a sucker for anthologies, and anthologies done right, and I think The French Dispatch is one of that. And the fact that he doesn't shy away from saying, hey, I love the New Yorker magazine, and I wanted to make a film about that. That's what this is about. Yeah. But it's so interesting. So I'm excited.
This Wes Anderson freak over here. Geek. No. What do you put French Dispatch? The one that we're watching?
I'd probably put it somewhere like,
because you guys start saying that's Wes
like I'd probably say it's Asteroid City, Darjeeling Limited. Third, I'd give to his animated, so probably like Fantastic Mr. Fox, and then like French.
I forgot about the animated shit.
Yeah,
dude. All right, Grand Budapest.
Okay.
Isle of Dogs.
Okay, no.
And then fucking barely. These two are barely, but I gotta give ¿Cómo se llama?
Royal.
What's the other animated one?
Fantastic
Fox, and then Darjeeling. But they're like right there.
Yeah.
Right there. Bangers.
Very interesting.
I've never seen his animated stuff.
His animated stuff, dude.
No,
anyway.
I was gonna say I haven't seen Isle of Dogs either.
Isle of Dogs is so fucking good.
Isle of Dogs is great.
Holy
it's really
shit.
great. Yeah.
I want to see his Oscar pick, his short, I guess. But
those are. I mean, I like that the Lau pointed out recently that Netflix combined them to serve as a feature now.
That's cool.
Again, another anthology, if you will.
Yeah.
So, I like them that way. I didn't like them as shorts. Like I like them, but I'd rather this be a feature.
It's called The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar and 3 more.
I wanna watch the feature, so that way I can see the order that he put them in and all that, because that also.
We probably saw them like short to long or something. So
we kind of mix matched them.
No, but they're great. They're phenomenal. Like if they were categorized as a feature, which on paper they're not, but if they were, it'd probably be like my number 5. Just in terms of merit and what he does with this.
I'd probably say that as a feature, it'd probably be better than French Dispatch for me.
Maybe.
It sits in at 88 minutes.
88-minute feature. That's great.
90-minute movie.
Join us next week for the French Dispatch. We'll wrap up Wes Anderson month and move on to the next auteur, Mr. Christopher Nolan himself. I think we're kicking off with Memento.
Yeah, and then Tenet. Then it's just number Tenet.
We're kicking off with Memento, and if I'm not mistaken, there's at least 3 people who requested to be the special guest for that one, so we'll see who we're going to get.
Could I just read off the list?
Of Chris Nolan? Yeah.
We're going to go with Memento, and The Prestige.
And
then we're going to go with the very controversial Inception.
Oh, I like it.
And then we're going to end with Oppenheimer.
I'm glad you are doing Inception. I want to talk about Inception.
I would have fought you if you put in Tenet.
I almost wanted to do Dunkirk instead of Inception.
Dude,
what about
Dunkirk
Interstellar?
bucks.
Oh, we already did it.
We already did Interstellar.
I don't mind doing it again, though.
Well, let us know what you think about Darjeeling Limited. Let us know what you think about Wes Anderson. Comment below. Let us know if you'd prefer another Wes Anderson film. If there's something we missed. And let us know in general what you think. Are you part of the old school or the new school when it comes to Wes Anderson?
Oh, that's a good question. That might be the title.
Are you part of school?
Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Help us share. Thank you guys for subscribing. We've gotten a ton of subscribers this month.
Yeah, man.
And
600 something.
Yeah.
Shout out to all of you guys.
And like even
you,
the shorts and stuff like that are playing a lot well. So thank you guys, and thank you for CK for putting that together. Tune in next week. We'll wrap up Wes Anderson month. Thank you for tuning into the Wes-style Film Podcast. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Love you guys.
Hasta la vista.
Quick, be symmetrical.
I had to get